Sounds good. Welcome, everyone. We're going to wait for a couple more people to come in. We have an amazing team here. While we're waiting for people to come in or getting settled, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. My name is Ruth Ellis, and I would like to let you know that I am part of the Teach for LA Education Pathways team and part of the Center for Collaborative Education. We're so excited that you're all here for the, I believe it's Cal State Long Beach session and our wonderful student panel. And in just a moment, I'm going to hand it over to Wendy Muzien, and we'll get started, and very excited for you all to be here today.
Thank you, Ruth.
Take it away.
Thank you, and then welcome everyone. I'm sure we'll have more attendees trickling in the next few minutes. There's been some great sessions happening for Teach for LA, so I encourage you if you can to continue attending as many as you can the rest of this afternoon. But my name is Wendy Muzien. I am the Outreach and Recruitment Coordinator here at the College of Education at Cal State Long Beach. What that means is I recruit and promote our teacher education pathways, plus our other education degrees that we offer here at Cal State Long Beach. I also have with me my colleagues, Ms. Georgina, Ms. Tatum, Ms. David, and David, and then Linnea. I didn't want to call you Miss David. But we have our student representation from Cal State Long Beach, so they're current students, which will have a nice student panel at the end of the presentation. And then I'm going to actually have Georgina introduce herself first, and then the students will have a chance to introduce themselves later in the panel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Georgina. I'm the ECE, or Early Childhood Education Advisor, and outreach for the proposed PK3 credential. And I will be sharing a little bit about that during our session. But I'm glad to see everyone here, and I'm excited for this.
Great. Thank you, Georgina. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to add them in the chat. We have our students and ourselves to monitor the chat and answer any questions. This presentation is scheduled, it's a 90-minute presentation, but hopefully we may be done early. We won't go the full, we won't be here until 2:30, but if you do need to step out for something else, you may do so. And then you have our contact information. Me and Georgina will put our contact information on the chat, so you can always connect with us. If you have any questions about any of the programs, especially the teacher programs at CSULB. So like Ruth mentioned earlier, please, if you can, introduce yourselves, at least your name. What if you're currently attending school, which school are you attending? And then what teaching credential program or education program are you interested in? Well, I type in my email in the chat. Okay. And then I'm also going to start sharing my screen. Okay, perfect. A little bit about my background. I am also a CSULB alum. I received my bachelor's degree of psychology and human development here as an undergrad, and then came back and got my master's degree in educational psychology in the college, and I'm currently working in as well. And I've also taught ESL at a nonprofit immigration in Los Angeles, and worked as an interpreter and worked at El Camino College. So my background starts from nonprofit, working with our older adults learning English, and then at the community college, and now at the four-year institution. So I'm very excited to share about all of the education programs we have available. If there's something that we didn't talk about, we won't go too much into the master's degrees, but if you are interested in doing a master's degree in like school counseling, school psychology, or some form of a counseling degree, you could add those in the chat, and I could talk briefly about those at the end of the general presentation. But the focus of today's presentation is more of the teacher preparation programs. As you all know, we are in high need of more teachers, teachers of color, STEM teachers, teachers in special education, especially in LA County. So as students living in this area, or even Orange County, there is a vast opportunity of all the CSUs offering all these different type of teaching preparation programs, but I'm hoping that CSULB will catch your attention since we do offer a variety of pathways for each of our programs. So if I'm just going to go a little bit about the admission process for our undergraduate students. If you are coming in from high school, if you know anyone that's coming in from high school to CSULB, they typically apply during the period in the fall semester, October 1st through November 30th, through CSU Apply. And they specifically, what we look for is if they completed their A through G requirements, as well as what is their eligibility index, which you see in the top corner. The high school students have to do some math, calculating their GPA times 200 or 500 and adding all the information, and they'll fall into a specific category of a number. And then the higher it is, the better the chance they'll be considered and admitted to CSULB for their corresponding major, their undergraduate major that they're pursuing. So students coming in straight from high school are known as first-time, first-year students. However, if you are transferring to CSULB, you would also apply through CSU Apply, but our transfer students from the community college have the option to come in either the fall semester or start in the spring semester, which typically starts in January. They just have to apply August of the previous year as well. For our transfer students, they have to go through the application process to CSU Apply and making sure that they've completed the 60 transferable units required for their major. That is typically done at their community college. I always like to remind community college students that you guys are halfway through your bachelor's degree. So those 2 or even 3 years you've completed at the community college, when you transfer to a university, CSULB, for example, you're considered a junior. So you're not starting over, but you're bringing all those transferable units into the major you applied into. And then most students typically complete their BA requirements within a year and a half or 2 years, depending on how zealous they are to take more classes in the semester. And then they graduate with their bachelor's degree right away, actually. Of course, our STEM students take a little bit longer as well. So before I go into the teacher preparation pathways, if you are coming to us from a community college, we always encourage you to visit your transfer center. Each community college has their own transfer center. They offer transfer fairs in both semesters. They have specific workshops to help you apply for the CSUs and UCs. They look over your transcripts to make sure you have all the courses required for the major you're planning to transfer into. Now here at Cal State Long Beach, we have a variety of teacher pathways. Our current active teacher preparation programs are the ones you see on your screen. So the first one is our multiple subject credential program that allows you to teach from K to even 6th grade in elementary school setting, so kindergarten to 6th grade. And we have the options of the traditional pathway, which is your own pace. We have a pathway that you add a bilingual authorization. Basically, an authorization is kind of like a minor, if you understand what it is, where you take a series of maybe a few 4 to 5 classes, and authorizations, you take even some state exams to be authorized to teach something extra. Or in this case, a bilingual authorization is to be able to teach in a dual immersion classroom. It's becoming much more common for a lot of elementary schools and even middle schools to have Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, dual immersion classrooms in Los Angeles. So then teachers have the option to add a bilingual authorization to their main teaching credential that they're pursuing. So in our multiple subject pathways, a lot of students decide to actually add the bilingual authorization. So there's a pathway where students can choose and already start doing those requirements concurrently with their regular requirements for the multiple subject credential program. This authorization could be added to any credential, but we just see more common for our multiple subject students. And then we also have what we call the multiple subject credential program, UTeach. So UTeach is known as a residency cohort program. What that means is this is a 1-year program where students apply to this cohort. And once they're admitted, they're in a group of 20 to maybe 25 students that are taking all of the classes together. So all of their courses, as well as observation hours and student teaching, not together student teaching, they're in their own classrooms, but they're most likely in the same schools. And this is concurrent with Long Beach Unified School District. So this is not something that students could just do when they want. It has to be a year-long commitment, fall and spring semester. And students do everything together. They have their faculty support. They get support for their Cal TPAs and their RECA exam that they have to take. Well, probably by the time you apply to this, RECA won't exist anymore. But as of now, those that still have to complete the RECA, they will get support for that as well. So for the multiple subject credential, you have these 3 different options that you get to choose from, depending on what works best for you as a student. We also offer the Education Specialist Credential, which is special education. If you're interested in working in K to the age of 22, and we have 2 focuses, which is mild moderate support needs or extensive support needs. Some students actually pursue both options, and I think they just have to talk with the credential advisor to see how they can student teach in both settings to get that experience. We also have what we call the Urban Dual Credential Program. This is a 2-year residency program where students in this program will obtain their multiple subject credential and educationist specialist credential at the same time. So some students just want one credential, like the first one, multiple subject. Some students just want to focus on special education. Others, they want both. And we actually offer a 2-year program, and it's a residency model cohort where you're also with a group of 20 to 25 students. They rotate between school districts, but they're doing all their methods courses, and they have that support as they're doing their fieldwork and student teaching at different school districts. One of our students today in the panel is actually finishing up or continuing this program as well, so she could talk more about her experience in that program. But again, we have a specific 2-year credential program that you could do all the requirements for the multiple subject and special education credentials in 2 years. If you look at the number of units, typically students, when they just pursue one of the credentials, they could finish it in a year and a half. Usually 2 semesters of coursework and then a semester of student teaching. And then if you're taking more time, you have up to 7 years to complete it. But the Urban Dual Credential Program kind of not condenses, but combines everything. So in 2 years, a year of coursework and a year of student teaching, and then these students receive their 2 credentials at the same time. We also have the single subject credential program. This is if you want to work as a middle school or high school teacher. So if you just want to focus on one subject, and you see the different subjects below: art, English, health science, mathematics, physical education, social science, which is history for a lot of folks that want to focus on that. We even have dance. We have a dance credential that has officially been approved. So it's going to be more active in the upcoming fall semester. So if you're interested in just teaching these such subjects in the middle school and high school setting, then the single subject credential program will be the credential program for you. It's 45 units, can be completed also in a year and a half, with 1 semester, which is 16 weeks long, of student teaching, where we actually place you at a classroom with a master teacher. Here at Cal State Long Beach, we have the Office of Clinical Practice. They're the ones that handle all the logistics of our contracts with all the different school districts in our area. And I've been told they have connections with over 100 school districts. So you would imagine all students have options to be placed in different school districts based on their needs, based on their interests. And they also have contracts with a lot of the master teachers that open up their classrooms so that you can, as a student teacher, do your observations and your student teaching in their classrooms. So that's where you get a lot of your experience during that last semester of student teaching. So these 4 official credentials programs, these are typically known as post-baccalaureate options, which means you pursue your bachelor's degree first, graduate with your bachelor's degree, and then reapply to your university like CSULB to obtain these any of these credentials or go through any of these credential programs. So in order to be part of this, you have to officially have your bachelor's degree completed at first. It could be in anything, but as you start your teaching journey in high school or your early years as an undergrad, we really encourage you to explore and decide which class, like what grade level you will be interested in, what subject you would like to teach, especially those pursuing the single subject credential, what subject you want to teach, because then you want to focus your bachelor's degree in that area. I've met students that want to be math teachers, so then their bachelor's degree is mathematics. Others want to teach art, so their bachelor's degree is art. And here at Cal State Long Beach, we also have like education options for a lot of different majors. So for example, we have a bachelor's degree in arts. There's like graphic design, all these wonderful options for our art students, but there's also art education. And these students can specifically take the classes they need to teach the type of art they would need in middle school and high school. We have English education as an option for bachelor's in English. We have math education as an option. So a lot of our majors may have an education option, which gives you the content knowledge to teach that specific subject later on as a teacher. So we encourage you as you're pursuing your bachelor's degree to have it focus on what you would like to teach. To teach in elementary school setting and even special education, the most popular one is liberal studies or elementary education, which I'm going to talk more in depth in the next few slides because we have a variety of pathways for that specific major. But just to clarify, these are the 4 different active credential programs that we currently have here at CSULB to become an elementary school teacher, special education teacher, a middle school, high school teacher, or just get both the multiple and special education credential at the same time. So if you have any questions about these, you can put them in the chat. Or if anyone has any questions right now, you could raise your hand with the Zoom option as well. I'm just going to check the chat a bit to see if anything's there. And there is a lot of information, so I'm happy that you are checking out the different schools, especially Long Beach, because we keep adding on more pathways. And later on, you hear about the proposed PK3 teaching credential that we are working on to have active here at Cal State Long Beach as well. So I wanted to start with the post-bac options because it gives you an outline of the active credential programs. But as an undergraduate student, which means you're a student that is completing their bachelor's degree, whether you're doing it at the community college or going straight into a university, there's different ways you can prepare yourselves to be a teacher. A lot of our students that want to do elementary education, special education, or maybe they're not sure, but they know they want to go into education at least, they pursue our Bachelor's of Arts in Liberal Studies here at Cal State Long Beach. Our liberal studies, which is also known as elementary education at the community colleges, we have 2 different pathways for this specific program. We have a bachelor's degree only. You just pursue the bachelor's degree on its own. It's 120 units, which typically is completed in 4 years. You graduate and then reapply to your credential of choice, either here at CSULB or if you decide to go to another institution for your credential. For the same bachelor's degree in liberal studies, we also have what we call the Integrated Teacher Education Program, or ITEP, which is 135 units. And we actually have 5 pathways where students get to choose a credential and then obtain their bachelor's degree and teaching credential or credentials at the same time as an undergrad student. And then you're graduating with 2 or even 3 degrees. So this allows our students in liberal studies specifically to, when they graduate with their bachelor's, already have their teaching credential, and then they're ready to go off and teach in any of the school settings. Other students that want to do elementary education, but they want to teach middle school, high school, or they are pursuing a bachelor's degree in anything, later on want to become a teacher, they just pursue the bachelor's degree of their choice, either a bachelor's of arts or a bachelor's of science in any major. they graduate and then reapply to the university and then choose the credential they want to pursue and obtain. So it's very common actually, more traditionally for teachers to have a bachelor's degree first and then obtain their credential later. Some teachers may have a bachelor's degree in something that they were not planning to teach. For example, we meet some business majors that they got their business degree, they did the business thing, but decided to come back and wanted to become teachers, some social science, some English. So they decided to come back, meet the requirements for the state, and get their single subject credential in social science, English, or whatever they choose to do. So as long as you have a bachelor's degree, that's the main requirement to officially pursue the teaching credential. As I mentioned earlier, at Cal State Long Beach, we have education type majors in other areas other than liberal studies, such as art education, biology education, child development, English education, kinesiology, math, and so forth. Even our history major, which is very popular here, is not called history education, but they have a specific pathway where a lot of the history students, if they're interested in becoming social science teachers, they take a series of different history courses that is relevant for them to teach later on in middle school and high school. So they're already preparing themselves at the undergraduate level to obtain their credential. And many times when you are a CSULB undergraduate student pursuing your bachelor's degree, if you already know you want to come back to the same school with us to get your credential, you could even start taking a lot of the prerequisites during your last 2 semesters just to get a head start. So a lot of students actually do that. And they do a lot of the prerequisites as an undergrad. So when they graduate, they just some only take a year to complete their credential because they already started early on as an undergraduate student. At Cal State Long Beach, we also have a minor. A minor is basically taking a series of 5 to 6, maybe 7 classes in a specific subject just to get more knowledge in that area. So that's usually attached to a major or your bachelor's degree. So we have a minor in equity and educational studies, 15 units, which is about 5 courses. And one of these courses, students have a chance to choose one of the prerequisite courses for the credential, whether it's multiple subject, single subject, or education specialist. This minor allows students who are considering to become teachers, but they're pursuing a degree in psychology or anything else outside of liberal studies. So they just want to learn more about the field, get that experience. Sometimes there's students that want to teach, but they're just not sure where. So they pursue a degree that they're passionate about, but then they do the minor to get that experience in and see what areas they want to teach in. So we offer this minor for students to really learn more about our education courses and get some fieldwork experience as well. And this is great for students that are considering it or are even pursuing another degree and they just want to start getting exposure to the educational field. Some quick facts about our college I wanted to bring up. We serve approximately 3,000 students. We offer over 240 scholarships each academic year for our current students, and we have a few scholarships that we offer for our admitted transfer students that come in during the summertime. They have a chance to apply to some of those as well. As I mentioned earlier, we offer 4 active teaching credential programs. Our college faculty and student ratio is pretty low, 21-to-1 ratio. So as you come into the classrooms, you're not in these large lecture halls, but you have a better chance to learn your students, your students around you, as well as the faculty. Last year, they don't have the numbers for 2022, 2023 yet, but in 2021 to 2022, we recommended candidates, 667 credentials were recommended to the state so that they could be issued to these students. So we have the credential center where the candidates in our teaching credential programs, they finalize all the paperwork they need with the state, and then they recommend them to the state, the CTC. And in that time period, we had 667, which is actually where the most, out of all the CSUs, we're the one that recommend the most students to the state to get their teaching credentials. Most likely in your journey as students, when you were in middle school, high school, elementary school, most of your teachers may have graduated from Cal State Long Beach. So Cal State Long Beach is well known to produce a lot of teachers that work in our areas. And then we also have year-round advising, especially through our Teacher Preparation Advising Center, our Credential Center, and even our Graduate Studies Office for our Master's in Education. They're available to current students and prospective students year-round. And as I mentioned earlier, we have clinical practice agreements with almost 100 school districts. So that gives students a chance to be placed in a district that is suitable for them. Usually students, when they're applying for student teaching, they do submit some paperwork, and one is a questionnaire asking about what are the top 3 school districts they're hoping to be placed in. So our clinical practice office tries their best to accommodate the students where they can be in. So now I want to talk more about the liberal studies pathway itself. This is what's more popular here at CSULB because we're the only bachelor's degree that allows students to also obtain their teaching credential at the same time. Liberal studies is also known as elementary education at the community colleges. So for example, if you're from Cerritos College, you're pursuing the elementary education ADT, so associate's degree to transfer, then those students transfer into our liberal studies bachelor's degree route. Different names, same thing. This is different from the child development bachelor's degree. So I do want to point out students should not get confused between child development and liberal studies. But liberal studies more the elementary education preparation major, prepare students to teach from kindergarten up to 6th grade and expose them to different grade levels as well. So as I mentioned earlier, we have our bachelor's degree, which is 120 units, which can be done in 4 years. And we also have our integrated teacher education pathway, or ITEP, which is 135 units or so, which allows the student to pursue their bachelor's degree in liberal studies, plus the requirements to get their credentials and then graduate and receive those two combined. So typically a student will have to get their bachelor's degree first, graduate, then reapply to the university. They're considered as a post-baccalaureate student, so then tuition is about $500 more expensive, and then they just pursue their credential. But our liberal studies students, if they decide to do the ITIP pathway, they're able to take the credential courses as an undergrad, which tuition is much more affordable. Most likely financial aid can support them and help them out a little bit more, and they don't have to reapply. They just apply with our advisors to make sure they're in the right ITIP pathway. So our ITIP pathway, we currently have 5. The only one we don't have one for is for single subject credentialing. So for those students that want to teach middle school and high school and obtain their single subject credential, unfortunately, we don't have one yet for that because there's a variety of subjects where students want to teach for middle school and high school. I know in the science department, they're trying to do a general science bachelor's degree with an integrated pathway for those students. But for now, we only offer integrated pathway for our multiple subject credential and our special education credential, and also our urban dual credential program. So as you can see, the first 3 on top, they're focused on multiple subjects. So liberal studies students, if they decide to get their credential, they could pursue just a multiple subject on its own, the multiple subject with the bilingual authorization, and then also join the UTeach pathway, which is that cohort, 1-year cohort model with Long Beach Unified School District. In the bottom, we have our ITIP in special education, which is officially starting this upcoming fall of 2024, where students get their liberal studies and just special education degree. And then we also have our liberal studies. They could join the urban dual credential program. So this is where they get their bachelor's degree, their multiple subject credential, and education specialist credential in the same time. So they graduate with 3 degrees officially. And then they're ready to start teaching out in the community. So again, ITIP is only available for our liberal studies major here at Cal State Long Beach. If a student is from like child development and they wanted to do ITIP, that cannot. They had to switch majors if they could, but only our liberal studies students can pursue this. And this allows them to be more prepared to become teachers and obtain their teaching credentials. For some of our students that go through this pathway, they're able to do so because they have scholarship opportunities or financial aid that will allow them to financially support themselves during student teaching because they're still doing this as an undergraduate students. One question where myself and a lot of my colleagues or students currently at CSULB are asked, which one is the best program? But really, it depends on what is your goals. What are your goals as a future teacher? What will you want to pursue? What is your financial situation? And so forth. So we have a variety of options so that you get to choose to just do the traditional way of becoming a teacher, getting your bachelor's degree, and then getting your credential, or if you're a liberal studies students, getting both or even 3 at the same time. Again, a lot of information is being presented today. We're one of the CSUs that are still growing in the different ITEP pathways that we're creating, and again, partnerships with a lot of our school districts where we're trying to do more residency models so that students could get more hands-on experience right away at a school district and get to know the teachers, the principals, the faculty that work with those school districts as well. So our goal here at the College of Education is to really make sure that our students have access not just to the courseworks or meet all the requirements to become a teacher from the state of California, but to really gain that experience and network. So when you graduate, you have networks, you have experience in some school districts, and you're ready to go and teach into the field. Okay. Again, just a quick mentioning about our education minor. So if you're not a liberal studies student, so if you're coming to us as a psychology student, sociology, engineer even, mathematics, child development, and you really want to get more involved or learn more about the education field, the minor itself can be added to your degree, and it's only a 15 unit. Some of the units actually double count depending on your major. I know a lot of these classes, like a series of classes you could choose from to meet the 15 unit requirement for the minor, and a lot of them double count with a lot of the like child development, sociology, psychology, a lot of different degrees. They have classes because a lot of classes outside have their focus in how sociology fits into education or psychology fits into education. So then you get exposure to that. You get the same credit for your bachelor's degree, and plus you have a chance to learn more about the educational field. So now I'm going to hand it over to Georgina, who's going to talk more about the proposed PK3 early childhood credential.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here, and I am excited for this credential. Wendy, if you can go to the next slide. Would I be able to? Okay. So for this credential, it is a new credential. It is called the PK3 Early Childhood Education Specialist Instruction Credential. It has been approved by the CTC, but as Wendy mentioned, we are waiting on the approval of our program. But the purpose of the PK3 credential program that we hope to offer soon at CSULB is to prepare candidates to earn the PK3 credential from the Commission on Teacher Credentialing for the state of California. Through this program, candidates will develop skills and knowledge necessary for the mastery of the PK3 teaching performance expectations, as well as prepare candidates to successfully teach in preschool to 3rd grade classrooms. So if you are interested in working with younger children, this would be the credential that you would pursue. And then lastly, also prepare them to pass the 2 assessments to obtain this credential. As of now, the reading instruction examination, the RECA, and the state mandated teacher performance assessment, the CalTPA. So again, for the teaching grade levels, a teacher with this credential is authorized to teach preschool, transitional kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. A few alternative career paths include school district curriculum specialists, directors, as well as program coordinators. And then a few benefits of the PK3 credential is that it will allow you to access higher wage early childhood education jobs, access to benefit packages, and become a member of a teacher union through a school district, and then access to professional development opportunities. So just an overview of the upcoming PK3 credential program. It is a post-bac program. It will be 40 units, 6 units prerequisites, 9 units co-requisites, 15 units pedagogical methods, and then 10 units student teaching. The coursework may be completed as a full-time or part-time student. And then the delivery format will be given in person, online synchronous, and asynchronous. And the courses will be given during the evenings and on Saturday mornings to accommodate work schedules. So here's our proposed course sequence. For the prerequisites, they must be completed prior to applying to the program. We have 2 courses for the prerequisites. The length of the program is 3 semesters long, so a year and a half if a student decided to complete it full-time. The first semester will consist of 4 courses, the second 3 courses, and then the last semester will consist of student teaching. So student teaching in kindergarten to 3rd grade, and then student teaching in preschool and transitional kindergarten, as well as an additional course. So for the subject matter competency, it must be demonstrated through one of the following options. The first option is a possession of a bachelor's degree or higher from a regionally accredited institution of higher education with a degree major in any of the following. So child development, child and adolescent development, human development, early childhood education, human development and family science, and child, adolescent, and family studies. If someone does not have a BA in any of the degree majors that are listed, another option for them to complete the subject matter competency would be to complete 24 semester units or the equivalent quarter units of non-remedial degree applicable coursework at a regionally accredited institution of higher education in early childhood education or child development. So for the requirements for admissions to the credential program, there are 4 requirements. First, candidates must hold a valid CTC certificate of clearance, emergency permit, or other CTC valid credential. They must complete the prerequisite courses EDEC 400 and EDEC 422 with no grade lower than a C. They must submit a negative tuberculosis skin test taken within the last 4 years or a chest x-ray taken within the last 8 years. And the tuberculosis clearance must be valid through student teaching. And lastly, they must submit a completed application packet. So again, the program has not yet been approved. We are anticipating for it to begin in the 2025-2026 academic year, but hopefully soon we can provide you with more information. And this is our interest survey. The QR code leads to our interest survey and you'll be added to our interest list. So you'll answer a few questions and then we'll have your email. So if there are any updates or any upcoming information sessions, we'll reach out to you. I've also included my email there. I'll include it in the chat as well. If you have any more any questions or want to reach out about any updates, you can email me.
All right, thank you, Georgina. And we are going to share the slides. We did share with the folks who are organizing the whole Teach for LA. So I'm sure they'll be sharing the slides with everyone who's attending all types of sessions. Right. So other than our teacher preparation programs, we also have a great variety of student support programs to allow you to succeed as a student here at Cal State Long Beach. We encourage students to really check out all that we have to offer as a university. So the university is split up into about 7 colleges that oversee all different types of majors. And within each college, we have our own like advisors and student programs and scholarships. But then the university as a whole has all these great resources for all students, from our undergrad students, our credential students, and then our graduate students as well. One of the ones I want to highlight is the Counseling Psychological Service, or CAPS, where you can meet with counselors if you have, if you want to seek out mental support, mental health support from the counselors. Typically, students, faculty, and staff have, I think, up to 8 free sessions, and then they could be referred to other resources on and off campus for extra support. We have our Transfer Transition Center for our transfer students. Transferring from a community college to a university is actually quite different. But we have a center where you have other students who serve as peer mentors, who's been through the process and help a lot of our transfer students, especially the first year of just adjusting and transitioning into the role as a student in a university level compared to the community college. I don't know if any of you have ever visited Cal State Long Beach, but the university itself is quite large. It's basically a city within the city of Long Beach. So it's quite large, and there's so many different programs. So as a transfer student, going into this center is very helpful and encouraging for them to find out and learn more about the resources throughout the whole campus. We also have the Bob Murphy Access Center. So if any student has a disability, needs extra support or accommodations for their classes or for anything related to school, the BMAC office is where you submit all the paperwork, you talk with the staff, and they set you up and work with the faculty to make sure that you obtain the support that you need as a student. And then this is, again, we have a variety of other programs. We also have a career center. They specifically work with each college. So we have a career counselor that works with the College of Education, and they specifically host workshops for our teacher candidates. They host specific job fairs where they bring in the school districts, so school focused type of jobs here on campus. We just had our job fair in April of last month in April, where a lot of different school districts came and they interview students and they showcase what positions they have available for our credential and counseling candidates. Again, this PowerPoint slide should be shared with all of you because we did share with the larger committee who is organizing this great event. And then you'll be able to scan the QR code or go on the link to see the rest of the different student success programs that are offered throughout the university. This is just a snapshot of a handful of them that I know most students have great access to, but there's a lot more to choose from as well. And funding your education. So always ask or look into ways to fund your education. We have always FAFSA. I know this year was kind of weird with FAFSA, the deadline being later, which gives us questions about when they're going to offer the package, but always apply for FAFSA. Or the California Dream Act, whichever one you qualify for. Even if you think you may not, they still provide you insight on like scholarships or grants, not scholarships, they offer you insight on the grants you qualify for or the loans you qualify for, or for those who apply for FAFSA, if you qualify for work study where they pay you to work on campus as well. So they usually showcase your package and then you get to choose what you want to accept to help you with your education. There are a variety of scholarship opportunities on campus for our current students. We have a handful of scholarships for our incoming transfer students, usually during the summer that they could apply to if they're pursuing a teaching credential program. But there are also scholarships at the community college, if you're coming from high school, or even within the community. There's a lot of organizations that are teacher focused, and they offer scholarship to now the future teachers who want to go back to school and obtain their credential. Some scholarships even follow students from, like, for example, the community college to the university. We had a student ambassador last year, and she came from Long Beach City College, and she had a scholarship to follow her from LBCC to Cal State Long Beach, and then she graduated with liberal studies in her credential. I guess our tip to all of you as students, as you're applying to the universities, considering what you want to pursue as a teacher, apply for financial aid, submit your applications, apply for scholarships. There's many work opportunities on campus for students if you want more flexibility with your jobs, but also a lot of you, if you work in a school district already, if you already have a bachelor's degree and work in a school district, but want to go back and get your credential because you work as staff, a lot of school districts have some financial support available for the staff or anyone in the school district that wants to become a teacher. So there's even financial support there. It's just a matter of asking and applying, because there is financial support available, especially here in California where there's a higher need of teachers. So then there's more financial support. We just have to apply and really apply for all the opportunities. Here on the screen, you'll see what we call the Mary Jane Patterson Scholarship. This is a specific scholarship that is funded with the support of Long Beach Unified School District and other donors. And these students obtain the scholarship for their tuitions, get partial tuition support, as well as faculty advising. So there's a specific faculty advisor for this scholarship, and then she works with the students to advise them on basically their plan on becoming teachers, if they need job support. Since we work with Long Beach Unified School District, because it's our direct school district, they interact with those folks. So they really start networking with those districts, but then other school districts. I know the faculty advisor for this scholarship worked at LAUSD as well, and she has contacts everywhere. So she's always connecting the scholarship recipients with other folks, just so that they won't just get the financial part for the tuition, but also be ready to network and have opportunities once they obtain their teaching credential. So scholarships like these are available through CSULB. So we want to encourage you to always stay connected. Even if you're considering Long Beach, even for a little while, connect with us, ask us any questions you may have. If we don't have an answer right away, we'll get back to you and search for the answer throughout the whole campus as well. If you have more specific questions about the upcoming PK3 credential, which is a new credential for a lot of universities, right now it's going through the whole process of getting approved by the state, getting approved through the university, developing the coursework and stuff. But we are confident things will go through, and then will be available soon. So you have Ms. Georgina to connect with and ask all the questions you may have. You may also follow us on Instagram, where we highlight different programs, or we like to highlight also how student teaching is involved. We have previous students share their student teaching experiences for a lot of prospective students, because that's one thing that incoming students wonder: how is student teaching going to happen? How is it like? And then there's like a glimpse of that through some of our reels on Instagram. So before we continue on to the student panel portion, and if you have questions about the programs, you can ask. But then if you have questions about student life in general, I'm gonna have our 3 students join us. Oh, they're here already. So I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. And I have 2 questions for them, but if any of you have any questions as well, you can ask them as well. So I'm gonna start off with Tatum and have her introduce herself. I'm gonna mute myself.
Hi, my name is Tatum. I am a 4th-year liberal studies student at Cal State Long Beach, and I am in the Urban Dual Credential program. So in that pathway, I'm getting my multiple subject credential, as well as my extensive support needs education specialist credential. So my goal is to teach high school or adult transition special education programs.
Thank you, Tatum. And then Lene.
Hi, I'm Linnea. I'm a first-year liberal studies major. I plan to do the ITEP MSCP pathway, and I also plan to minor in child development to be able to teach preschool, TK, and the younger grades. But I'm banking on student teaching to figure out what grade specifically.
Thank you, Lene. And then we have David.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a first-year student, and I plan on pursuing the Education Specialist Credential pathway so I can get my BA in Liberal Studies and then get my Special Education Teaching Credential so I can hopefully one day teach high school special education.
All right, thank you, David. So our first question for everyone here is, and we'll start with David since I see you first on Zoom. Why did you choose to pursue your academic program at CSULB?
I chose to pursue my academic program here at CSULB because CSULB felt like the most welcoming place out of all the universities I visited. While other universities maybe were strong in other areas, I felt that CSULB's College of Education really felt like they really cared about me as a person and as a student. So that family-like environment was just something that I could not pass up.
Thank you, David. And Linnea, why do you decide to pursue your academic program here with us?
So the first thing was I really like the diversity at the campus. And then I also like the sorry, the teaching programs we offered. So all the ITEP pathways, I felt like I didn't find as many of those at other campuses. So that was really interesting and made me choose here.
And then I ended up choosing Cal State Long Beach because I was really hoping and like wanting to get my multiple subject credential at the same time as my education specialist credential. And there weren't too many programs that offered both that like combined it with your undergraduate degree. And so I was looking through all the schools, and Cal State Long Beach was maybe like the only one to have that program. And so I was like, immediately, I want to go there. And so, yeah, and I'm from Northern California too, so it wasn't like a close by decision. So it definitely like it made an impact on me. And so I'm so happy I decided to come.
Thank you. So our next question for all three of you, and we'll probably start with Tatum since you did it last. What is a resource on campus you recommend prospective students to check out when they're here?
We have so many great resources on campus, but I would say my favorite and probably most used is going to be our beach pantry. So we have a pantry for students, staff, and faculty on campus. And so you're able to go into the pantry, I think it's 4 times a week. And then there you're able to get like 5 items, and they'll let you know how many items you can get. But they have anything from like toiletries to food to like pre-prepared like meals. And so especially during finals time, like they'll have like carts come around to different parts of the campus. And so it's very accessible and easy to get. And then using the beach pantry, we have something else called the beach kitchen. And so the beach kitchen uses materials and items from the beach pantry to help prepare dishes. And it's all free and it's for students, and you can learn how to cook. And I've made some pretty yummy food there. So that's my most used and favorite.
Thank you. And then Linnea?
I would say my favorite resource is the Writing Center. So basically, I found out about it through one of my teachers actually. A lot of the professors will offer like self-advocacy credit for it, but basically you just go in there and you can really go to them like through any point in your writing process. So they can help you get started with the paper, or you can have the paper completely done and they edit it for you. And I believe they do take walk-ins and appointments. But yeah, that's my favorite resource. I would really recommend.
Thank you. I also recommend that program as well. And David?
I think my most used resource and personal favorite resource is the Bob Murphy Access Center, and we call it BMAC here on campus. It's a center where students that have like IEPs or 504s like myself can go talk to like an advisor and get kind of, it's like a direct line of communication between yourself, your professors, and the school. So everyone is on the same page regarding extensions, deadlines, or any other accommodations that you may need in the classroom. Just so that we feel like you're not alone when you are talking to your professors, but it is a support system outside of the classroom that extends on campus.
Wonderful. So that's, I wanted to check if any of our attendees, if they have any questions for the students, you could ask them right now. If not, I could try to ask another question, but this is an opportunity for you to ask any questions of especially student life on campus or any of their experiences in the classroom. You're free to unmute yourself if you would like, or you could add it in the chat. Right. If not, then I may ask another question to all of you three. What has been your experience with engaging with other students and just balancing academic work and then just student life on campus? Maybe whoever's ready.
I can go. So for me, I came here, I started off my college experience in 2020. So during like COVID and like online school, and I didn't come to Cal State Long Beach until 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021 or 2022. And so that in itself was an extremely interesting experience with like making friends. But my priorities have always been the same, like of like a work-life balance, which is to have fun and then to do all the other like school and academics and then work. And so I definitely think Cal State Long Beach, especially at like the education program, does a really good job at making sure that there's like a community of care like established from like the very beginning. And so you have a lot of access to advisors and help, and your teachers are really accessible. And because the classroom sizes are so small, like they're usually like 25-ish. And my cohort right now, since I'm in UDCP, it's only 14 students. So like you really get to know your teachers and professors, and they definitely help develop a really good sense of community. So that way, like you see the same people in the same classes and you kind of make friendships that way, or at work, or like joining clubs. And we have a lot of great clubs here at Cal State Long Beach and in the education program.
I would say I met my closest friends through our Beach XP program, which is basically where you're in a cohort. And I think there's about 20 of us, and you go through all the same classes together. So with that, community was, of course, built and strong bonds. But like Tatum said, the College of Ed tries to put on lots of events for us to get to know each other and build that same type of community. But also just the campus in general also puts on a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's how I kind of balance my.
I would say I balance my time on campus by getting involved because ASI, so our student government and College of Education, both do a great job in terms of putting on events for students to connect and meet with each other. And that provides a gateway for students to get involved in the classroom and say, hey, we're going to study on some things together and meet with our professors. But there are also other social outings, like there are concerts on campus, and our Student Recreational Wellness Center also has a lot of free bonding events for other students to kind of hang out and connect outside of the classroom in a less serious of a setting. And I would say I'd utilize those two resources the most because they allow students to be people outside of the classroom.
Thank you. I do want to share with everyone that a lot of our classes, so there's also evening opportunities and engagement opportunities for our credential students. Since a lot of our, once you're in the credential program, whether if you're an undergrad student taking credential classes in liberal studies or traditionally taking them through one of the credential programs, those classes are offered in the evenings, hybrid or online, or Saturdays as well sometimes. So the university and the college as well tries to engage and provide support for our evening students as well, since traditionally they're probably working during the day, but then we try to provide some opportunities for them, especially with their classmates, to engage and network with other students and faculty within the college. Are there any questions from our attendees in Zoom that they would like to ask or share in the chat? I did see earlier someone asked it can be either or. I'm not sure if you're talking, if that was referring to maybe the ITEP pathway. So if you wanted to clarify what you meant by that, you could clarify in the chat. We're more than happy to respond to that question. But if there aren't any questions from our attendees, I know there's more sessions to come at 2 o'clock. I know ours was advertised for a 90 minutes, but just to help with time. So I see someone in the chat ask about receiving their bachelor's degree in a foreign country and then now taking child development courses at Pasadena City College. If I would like to apply for the PK3 program, which type of foreign transcript should I apply for? Detailed report. So that's something, I don't know, Georgina, if you have a question, answer for that. But what I've heard from our credential advisors in our teacher preparation advising center, that's where they talk with our international students that want to get their credentials here in the States, but they have a bachelor's degree from another country. So then they'll let them know which transcripts they'll get. So you're free to actually contact and connect with our teacher preparation advising center as well, who are knowledgeable on international studies and basically referring them to the right place to get their transcripts evaluated. But Georgina, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm not sure how that process works, but thanks, Wendy, for sharing that with the TPAC.
I'll add that in the chat, but I'm glad that you are getting your units and for the child development at Pasadena City College. So that allows you to be prepared. But I encourage you to talk to our teacher preparation advising center. You could call them or email them about that question. They've had experience because we do have students that are pursuing their credential that have received their bachelor's degree at another country. They just have to go through an extra few steps, and they're the ones that know what type of evaluation you need to take. So let me look up that question, but are there any other questions? And again, the teacher preparation advising center is open to all prospective students. So you don't have to be a currently enrolled student to talk to anyone there. They do give priority for certain services for our current students, but they're more than happy to share what you need in order to start pursuing the teaching credential, since to obtain a teaching credential in the state of California there's a lot of requirements. So they're eager to help out any student, whether they're current or prospective, to make sure they have the information. And they're the ones that are most up to date with the ever-changing requirements to be a teacher from the California Teacher for Credentialing Committee, the CTC here. So if there are any other questions? If not, it's 2 o'clock. I encourage you to continue to attend any other sessions for Teach for LA that are remaining the rest of this Tuesday afternoon. We participate in this conference every year, so we're always excited to be part of it and share what CSULB has to offer. If you have any questions, you can always contact us for anything, even if you're not applying to come to our school until years later, you have someone already to ask questions about anything here related to CSULB. So thank you all for joining us today. We'll stay here a few more minutes, but in case someone had a question, but if not, you are free to enjoy the rest of the afternoon and attend other sessions for Teach for LA. Thank you, everyone. You have any questions? I'm trying to pronounce your name correctly. Shuhua. Hello.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, just wanted to check.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
joining us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more question.
Okay.
Because for the courses about of child development, I took in Pasadena City College. How can I know that what courses meet your requirements for the application?
Do you mean which ones meet the subject matter requirements for the state?
No, because you have some prerequisition.
The prerequisite courses?
Yes.
So for those courses, they wouldn't be equivalent to courses that you would be taking at the community college because they're upper division courses and as well they're newly developed courses. So when you do apply and transfer over to Cal State Long Beach, then you would take those prerequisite courses at CSULB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so so you'd be able to take those here once you transfer over.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye, and thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Georgina.